Well, there are calls for the New South Wales Clubs boss Josh Landis to resign following comments he made regarding Premier Dominic Perrottet's faith. Kenny Hitley is live for us in Sydney. Kenny, I see the Clubs boss has now apologised for the comments.
Yes, that's right. So the election campaign hijacked by this intensifying fight over poker machine reform. Of course, we know that Premier Dominic Perrottet, he wants to bring in cashless gaming cards in New South Wales and is refusing to sign an MOU with pubs and clubs ahead of the election. Now, the Clubs boss, Josh Landis, he spoke to the media and said a few comments about the Premier, including, I think it's fair to say, that the Premier has very little understanding of this issue and has acted from his conservative Catholic gut rather than based on evidence. Now, these comments have sparked anger because he brought up the Premier's faith with this. Now, the Premier was at a press conference earlier. He had this response to those comments.
It is incredibly inappropriate and offensive to people of faith right across New South Wales in respect to the comments that he made today. Those comments aren't an attack on me. They're an attack on every single person of faith in our state. We live in a tolerant state, a tolerant country, and there is no place for comments like that in a modern Australia.
Key New South Wales Independent Alex Greenwich also gave a press conference about these comments, which he labelled inappropriate. He's asking Josh Landis to resign from his role over these comments, and he was speaking on behalf of the New South Wales Independent Crossbench.
While Josh Landis is heading up Clubs New South Wales, that is doing clubs across the state no favours whatsoever. We need to be engaging with the club sector, which I have been doing. We need to be talking about support for the club sector through a transition. What we need to stop is these personal attacks, these threats and intimidation coming from Josh Landis, and I believe that will only end when he goes.
Well, Josh Landis has now apologised, releasing this statement saying, "I wish to unreservedly apologise. I misspoke and should not have referred to the Premier's faith. This was not a premeditated comment or an intentional attack on the Premier personally. Rather, it was a poor attempt to explain that there is a lack of evidence for the policy. And the Premier is a moral person who intrinsically wants to help those who are causing themselves harm." Interesting that he said there's a lack of evidence for the policy there, Ash, considering the Premier is yet to release any details of his cashless gaming card policy yet.
Meantime, Kenny, there's been a lot of debate about faith in schools, and we've seen the Premier confirming that the New South Wales Education Standards Authority is now going to be investigating several schools that are linked to Opus Dei.
This follows a ABC Four Corners program which aired last night, looking into a number of schools, including the Tangara Schools for Girls, the Wallamai College, Montgrove College, and one that Premier Dominic Perrottet spent his school life and was school captain in the year 2000, Redfield College. Now, these are independent schools. They're not part of the Catholic school education system. They do receive taxpayer funds, but according to this program, they are linked to Opus Dei teachings, which are a very conservative and secretive part of the Catholic faith. Well, a part of this program was allegations from former students into bullying at the school, and also other things like the schools are used to recruit students into Opus Dei, but also teachings of misinformation around the cervical cancer vaccine and also abortions. Well, the Premier said he watched the program and had these comments earlier.
There is no place for bullying in any school across New South Wales, and teachers and parents, we all have an obligation to ensure that that doesn't occur in schools. What's most important is that where those matters occur and those issues are raised, that they're dealt with appropriately, and that's exactly what we've done.
In relation to the allegations pertaining to some of those schools, it's important to note that there's an independent inquiry in relation to NISA, which is from NISA in relation to those schools, which is important. We would wait to see what the results of that inquiry are. They're independent. We expect it to be rigorous, and it's important that that process takes place.
So, Ash, these issues derailing the election campaign today, which this week have been focusing on education announcements. Back to you.
Kenny Hitley, thank you.